Hi and welcome to today's vlog. Today I am going to share a little update on how my most recent migraine treatments are going. I have talked about this before. They are called Yvepti infusions and this will be my third one today, so I thought I would just take you along for the ride, show you what I can and then update you as to how it's all been going.
She likes oversharing with outfits and swearing, admiring her tats while she plays with all her cats. Her disability gives her superpower, agility to holiday and live the right way. Estelosaurus.
It's been a couple of days since my treatment now, so I just thought I'd talk a little bit about how it's going for me. So I've just had my third dose. If you want to know sort of the ins and outs and whys and wheres, check out the first video I did about this migraine treatment. I'll drop that link below. This is my third treatment now. They've been about 12 weeks apart, each treatment. The first one I had, that when I first talked about it, it was a 15-minute infusion. This has now been changed to a 30-minute infusion. I'm not really sure why. We weren't told. I think 15 minutes is quite fast for an infusion. I think probably over 30 minutes is just a bit more comfortable for people, I guess. So yeah, I thought I would pop on today and just update you and just to let you know how my treatment's going, so that if you're having this treatment or you're about to start this treatment, it might give you an idea of whether or not it's going to work for you. Obviously everybody's experience is different. Everyone's sort of migraines are different, but this is my experience, so I thought I would share it with you. So after 3 treatments now, touch wood, I am fairly migraine free. Certainly for the first, few weeks after I've had the treatment, I have been fairly migraine free. As it gets towards the time that I'm due for the next treatment, I do notice those migraines start to creep up, and it is a little bit annoying because when you have migraines as frequently as I did, you get used to it. You get used to that pain and you live with it because you have to. So going for a few weeks without having those migraines, when they do hit you again, they are so disabling. They really are. So I've had some really quite bad migraines, but usually towards the end of the treatment, and I think maybe they feel a lot worse because I haven't had them for a while and I'm not used to the exertion that comes from a migraine, like the stress it puts on your body. But yeah, for me personally, I have found Vyepti really good. They say the sort of common side effects for the 24 hours following the treatment are sort of cold flu-like symptoms. I haven't had any of those symptoms. In fact, for dose 1 and dose 2, I had no symptoms whatsoever. Dose 3, I did feel really sort of funny afterwards. I felt very fuzzy-headed, very weird. I couldn't really concentrate on anything. I can't 100% say that that was a direct cause of the infusion because I do have a water infection at the moment. I got a UTI. I'm not really very well. It could be that was sort of causing this like almost brain fog, I guess. But it could have been the infusion. I will, when I do my headache diaries, I will mention it, just because they do ask you to, when you submit your headache diaries, they do ask you to note any side effects. So I will just mention it just in case it's relevant or anyone else has experienced it. But that was sort of the only side effect I've had really from this medication. Whilst I was having my infusion last week, I was chatting to the nurse because she was asking sort of how it had been going for me, and she did mention, and I was surprised, that they've only had about a 50% success rate. So for all the people that they've treated, and they all started around the same time as me, this treatment was approved by NICE and immediately people were called in for the treatment, so everyone sort of started around the same time. Everyone has had about those 3 or 4 doses now, and I am surprised that it's only had a 50% success rate, because for me this is kind of the first thing that's worked. I've had a lot of failed migraine treatments, and for me this is the first one that's really worked. So I was really surprised when they said it had only a 50% success rate. You did mention that people that are on these sort of, they call them Zumabs, they tend to find that the efficacy of them is quite limited. So they do find that the longer you have the treatment, the less it works on you. And I will be interested to see if that happens, because when I had my first ever sort of proper migraine treatment, the Botox, I did find that after so many sessions, the effectiveness just wasn't there. It wasn't sort of stopping my migraines anymore. So it will be interesting to see if Yvepti does stop working. But at the moment, whilst it's working, I'm really pleased, because in this, certainly in my locality, in my CCG, which is your clinical commissioning group, there are no other options at the moment. I do know that there are a couple of new treatments perhaps on their way, about to be approved by NICE. One which was approved purely for episodic migraines, which I have chronic migraines, so unfortunately that treatment won't be approved for me. But they do think there will be a triptan. So I take rizatriptan when I have migraines, and there are like sumatriptan, lots of triptans that you can take for migraines. And I am aware that NICE are set to approve another triptan towards the end of the year, which I might be able to have. We'll see. So yeah, the procedure for each infusion has been the same. I get an appointment, I rock up to the health centre, which I don't know if I mentioned this last time. It is a very post-apocalyptic health centre. It's a very strange building, sort of really desolate and quiet, very odd. So you go there, you wait, you go in, and because this is a clinical treatment, you have to sign a consent form. They go through a couple of questions with you. The first 2 times I had the infusion, I had to have bloods prior to the infusion going in, and I also had to have blood tests in the month before my infusion was due, just to check. I think they check your kidney, they were checking my kidney function and sort of things like that. I don't know if I'm going to have another blood test. Usually they write to my GP and let them know, so I don't need to worry about it. This 3rd dose, I didn't have to have any pre-bloods taken. They said they only needed them after dose 1 and 2 for sort of, you know, to gauge the levels. So I had no bloods taken this time. They pop a cannula in, they flush that cannula, and then the infusion is set up on a pump, an infusion pump that pumps automatically into your body over a 30-minute period. You sit there for 30 minutes. I was offered a drink. It was absolutely baking hot that day, so they did offer me some lovely tepid water. Hopefully where you get your infusion done, the water is nicer. Or you can have a cup of tea, I guess. So you sit there for your 30 minutes, the infusion runs. It then alarms consistently when it has finished, until someone comes and disconnects it. They flush you through again, check that you're feeling all right, and if you're feeling okay, you're feeling fine, you can go home straight away and go about your business, because it doesn't affect sort of your motor skills or anything like that. The only side effect they say you might have is cold and flu symptoms, so I guess you could go home to bed if you wanted. They did tell me, interestingly, that a couple of people that have reported that they've come in for their infusion with a migraine, and within sort of minutes of the infusion going through, that migraine has eased. So that was quite interesting too, I think. When I had my infusion last week, I did have a headache, but it was very much what I call a weather headache. So not sort of really migraine-y, just a headache because of the weather. Like, it was muggy and hot and ugh. So yeah, for me personally, the Yvepti treatment is going really well. I'm really pleased. I've got everything crossed that it continues to work, and I've got everything crossed that if it stops working, it stops working in time for me to start a new treatment. Because unfortunately for me, each time I have had a treatment that hasn't worked, I have had to wait for new NICE guidance to come out to be able to start a new treatment, and that's sort of months and months in between each treatment, and then the migraines just sort of really pile up. I am very much still getting the vestibular and ocular migraines. They don't bother me as much. I can sort of, especially the vestibular migraines, that sort of for me really causes dizziness and vision weirdness, which tends to only last a couple of minutes. And because there's no pain, I can cope with that. It's not so bad, and I don't drive, so I don't need to worry about that. So this treatment hasn't really knocked those on the head, but it has at least knocked those sort of normal chronic migraines and allowed me to sort of, I don't know, get on with my life a bit better. So yeah, I would, if you're having a Vyepti, I would recommend it. Certainly get some good doses in, see how it's going. The only stipulation in my local CCG is that I have to keep a headache diary, and I have to have a 15%, at least a 15% reduction in migraine to be able to have the next treatment. If it hasn't reduced those migraines by 15%, 15%, they recommend you cease treatment, which I guess is fair enough. It's really expensive, and if it can be offered to somebody else because it's not working on you, then great. So all in all, yeah, I'm really pleased with Vyepti at the moment, and fingers crossed it continues to work. So that is my update. If you've got any questions about this migraine treatment, drop them below. I can hopefully allay any fears you have if you're about to start this treatment. So yeah, get in touch, let me know. Let me know if you're on this and if it's working for you. I'd be really interested to hear those that it is working for, because I thought a 50% success rate wasn't that great. So if it's working for you, let me know. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be back soon with another video.